A massive fraud scandal unfolding in Minnesota, turning into a wake-up call on America's broken welfare system. As more details come to light about scams that bilk taxpayers out of what could be more than $1 billion. Yes, I sound like Dr. Evil. It's $1 billion. Welcome to a new hour of America Reports. I'm John Roberts in Washington. That's real money, Sandra.
That is real money. Good to be with you on this Friday, John. I'm Sandra Smith in New York. So one startling example sticking out concerns a program to help recovering addicts find stable housing. Initial estimates for the housing program was for just under $3 million annually. But an indictment shows grifters fraudulently billed Medicaid more than $100 million last year alone. Garrett Tenney is live on this out of Chicago for us. What do you have, Garrett?
Well, Sandra, several of the whistleblowers in Minnesota have told state lawmakers that by the time these investigations are through, they believe the actual size of this fraud, the amount of taxpayer dollars that has been stolen, could be higher than $8 billion. We are already seeing some of that. 2 days into the Small Business Administration's investigation, Secretary Kelly Loeffler says the agency has uncovered at least $1 million in PPP fraud. And the state itself is now looking into the possibility of fraud in another Medicaid program. Minnesota's Department of Human Services is now pausing the issuing of new licenses for disability service providers over concerns of fraud after an explosion in the number of applications for new licenses over the past 5 years, going up 283%, while the number of people needing those services only increased by 25%. Governor Tim Walz, who is up for re-election, is under fire for all of this happening under his watch. But
meanwhile,
Jacob, hey?
Try it. Can I try it?
Yes, try it. Mix it. It's delicious.
What is that?
This is ambulo. What do you say? Ambulo.
Ambolo.
Mayorka Minneapolis waxa uu caawa ku casheynayaa ambulo waa culture-ka reer koonfur galbeed. Waa kana.
Boy. So we got to continue our coverage of the biggest news story of the week involving the Somali community out in Minneapolis, Minnesota, that has been caught in a estimated $8 billion scandal now, as you guys saw at the beginning of this video, involving our tax dollars, okay, welfare dollars going into the pockets of the Somali community and then subsequently ending up in the pockets of al-Shabaab terrorists in Somalia. And some of the money actually just ended up in the pockets of the Somali scammers, right, who then took that money and bought multi-million-dollar homes and houses, okay? And that is what this story is about, because you had a local news station that did an investigation on this. And I want to talk about it because I did a video earlier this week about how the Somalis are pushing back. And they're saying that a lot of the outrage that is currently happening in the country is because the American people are jealous, right? We're jealous of the fact that Somalis come here and that they become so successful, right? They buy nice cars, nice houses, nice apartments, and we're just racist and jealous, right? This is what they claim.
You know, like the racists are actually just jealous of Somalis because of how successful we became in a matter of one generation. And I was watching a lot of videos that are coming up on my For You page where people are saying, how come Somalis have nice cars and we don't? We've been here like how many generations? We were born here, our ancestors are from here, but Somalis drive nice cars. This whole thing is just making me realize is jealousy. They're jealous of our success because they expect us like to be at the bottom of the bottom, right? And then we come here one generation, we work hard, we save our money. And Somalis are not the only community that committed fraud, okay? We're not all committing fraud, okay? Every community has bad apples, but they're trying to use that as leverage to hate on us, right? And attack our community. But what it is like when you're an immigrant group and you're Black on top of that and you're African, they hate you to be successful. They hate you to be successful. Now, if we were like European immigrants, like maybe Bosnians who are Muslims or Russians, and they become successful, nobody would blink an eye because they're white. But the fact that we're brown people from Africa, you know what I mean? It kills them. Because the way we move, we don't move like we're inferior to anybody, right? And it's bothering them. And our name has reached the White House. That's how powerful the Somali community is. Wallahi, I have this thing where if Somalis work together, the only problem Somalis have is like, we need to build our country back. Wallahi billahi, we could have been a superpower nation. Hating on Somalis is not going to get you anywhere. Also, we never gave a fuck. We also will never give a fuck. Majority of us, and I'm talking 90% of us, do have our passports. And yes, we will be harassed, but that's fine. Okay, everybody goes through shit, but y'all really out here do be talking a lot of shit. Like, y'all just been waiting for this one. I can tell a lot of jealous motherfuckers were waiting for this one. It's like, this is fucking hilarious. Also, y'all invest in some fucking heater blankets. They're amazing. Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's jealousy and hate, right? It's not outrage and concern over the fact that welfare tax dollars are being used to funnel money to terrorists, right? And also into the pockets of scammers. No. It's not that. You just hate us because you ain't us, right? This is what they said. So with that being said, we got to talk about this news story that shows us what made the Somali community, or some Somalis, so successful, because it certainly was not hard work, right? It was fraud and scheming. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
5 Investigates is tracking your stolen tax dollars. And tonight we reveal how some fraudsters are still benefiting from their crimes even after being charged and convicted.
Investigative reporter Eric Rasmussen has been following the Feeding Our Future fraud for nearly 4 years. And he's here with what's standing in the way of getting your money back.
Well, we do know a lot of the $250 million stolen from taxpayers is tied up in property and other things. Federal prosecutors say they're seizing it, but at least in some high-profile cases, viewers told us that still has not happened. So we went to check it out. All right, here I go. From this 5-bed, 4.5 bath in Washington County to $1 million house in Plymouth, complete with an indoor basketball court. My name is Eric Rasmussen. I'm a reporter with KSTP. Another right off this county road in Burnsville. Do you know if the government is trying to take this house? They're not? We had to see these properties for ourselves. Each house owned by people convicted of fraud, connected to Feeding Our Future. $250 million meant to help kids in need, stolen at the height of the pandemic.
We've property all over the state, in different parts of the country.
But long after prosecutors filed paperwork to seize properties purchased with stolen taxpayer dollars, neighbors told 5 Investigates that still has not happened. Is it fair for the public to want answers about what's being done?
Absolutely. It's our money.
Mark Osler is a professor at the St. Thomas Law School and a former federal prosecutor.
This is something in criminal law that too often gets forgotten, the money side of it. You know, we pay attention to the body when someone walks into court, when they're taken away to prison. But the harm is often in the money.
Take former Safari restaurant owner Salim Saeed. 5 guilty verdicts now. A jury convicted him and Feeding Our Future founder Amy Bach nearly 9 months ago. But we found Saeed and his wife are still the official owners of this $1.1 million house in Plymouth. Fraud money funded their $952,000 down payment in 2021. Wow. And county records show they've racked up more than $50,000 in delinquent property taxes since then.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. But again, these people will tell you, no, you just hate us because you hate us, right? It's our hard work, right? Our great money habits, right? That's how we got these multi-million-dollar homes, right? Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Use fraud money to pay for the down payment, right? Almost $1 million, and can't even pay the taxes. right? Can't even pay the property taxes. You can't make this stuff up. Fraud money used to finance the home, to buy the home, and then they don't even pay the taxes on it. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. But again, it's because they're hard work, right? This is what they say. This is why they're so successful.
No one responded to the note I left, but a week later we did see someone leaving in a Cadillac. Prosecutors say they have to wait for...
I'm sure this was hard work too, right? This nice little Cadillac. I'm sure that was hard work too, right? That wasn't fraud money. That wasn't scamming, wasn't scheming. No. Just hard work. I don't know what they're waiting on, right? I don't know what the government's waiting on here, right? Okay. It seems like they got property that, is of a high value that needs to be seized, right? And we need to get our money back. Because they took the money and they've been convicted. So we need to get it back, right? We need to do something about this, right? This don't seem right.
Prosecutors say they have to wait for Salim Saeed to be sentenced before they can take the property. But that doesn't explain this one. Records show the owner of this house in Willerny is Jonathan Ross, the husband of Sharon Ross.
We want to keep that program going.
The former director of House of Refuge Twin Cities was sentenced to prison in February for her role in the Feeding Our Future fraud. That should have cleared the way for the government to take the property. But we found a car registered to Ross's husband still sitting in the driveway. We are also asking about this house in Burnsville, owned by former Feeding Our Future employee Abdi Kerm Idle. Do you know Mr. Idle? Right before being named in the first indictments in 2022, Amy Bach's right-hand man fled the country. Do you know where he is? That's the voice of Idle's ex-wife, according to a second person who spoke to me from behind the front door. Ex-husband. Sure enough, a month after investigators say Idle put down $95,000 on his new house, records show he and his wife filed for divorce. A mutual agreement, living in the same house, they wrote, right before Idle disappeared.
Wow.
Instead of having to go through that person and try to extradite him and all of that, we can go directly after the property. I'm sure that's what's being considered. But it's still frustrating we don't have the body, too. That individual.
Well, he can stay in Africa, right? He can stay there. Okay, I just want the money, right? We want our money back. So yeah, we need to get this house. We want the property, we want the money. Doesn't matter what the wife and the kids do, they gotta go, right? I mean, they can go to Africa too if they want to, right? In fact, I mean, to me, right, that would be the ethical and moral thing, right? To have them reunited, right? All in Africa, in the homeland. But yeah, we got to get the property. We need to get our money back. Okay, when stuff like this happens, when they, fraudulently steal money from taxpayers. I mean, you're talking about money that's supposed to be going to feed hungry people, right? And see, this is why I'm so skeptical of these nonprofits, especially these liberal nonprofits. The biggest scams that are happening in this country are through these so-called nonprofits, okay? Those are the biggest scams. And this is why liberals go out of their way to try to protect this stuff, because that's how they launder taxpayer dollars into their own pockets. That's why we try to tell people about these socialists, right? They love the nonprofits. They love spending money on things like, for example, homelessness, right? Like they did out in California, and all of this taxpayer dollars that are, again, not being watched over. There's no oversight. There's no real accountability. It goes into the bank accounts of these nonprofits run by these liberal elites who are friends with the politicians that issued the money. And then the politicians end up getting kickbacks, and the nonprofits take the tax dollars and they spend it on whatever they want. And the vast majority of them are never punished. And here you have, once again, this same thing happening. You have Ilhan Omar. Look at her relationships with some of these people who were convicted of fraud, probably taking campaign donations.
Well, now investigators are tracking the web of fraud to other Minnesota Democrats, such as Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Many of the suspects linked to the scheme live in her district, including a restaurant owner who hosted events for her. He has since been convicted of stealing $12 million in COVID funds.
horta aad iyo aadaan ugu faraxsanahay in maanta safari aan soo gaarnay sida dadka badan ay u og yihiin ciyaalkeena yaryar ilaa iyo number la eg 20 milyan oo ciyaal iskuuley ah waxay cuntadooda ka helaan iskoolka kaliyo marka waxaan fursad u helnay in aan sharci soo gudbino oo la dhahayo Meals Act oo u fududeynayo in waqtigaanayti pandemiga aan ku jirno oo dhalinyarada iskoolka aynan joogin oo guryahooda ay joogaan aynan gaajoonin oo familkoodii wili ay fursad u helaan in cunto ay helaan oo meelo qaarkood laga qaybinayo ay cuntada ka soo qaadan karaan marka aadaan ugu mahadcelinayaa Safari.
The whistleblowers that I've spoken to are saying that the governor knew, and the governor and Lieutenant Governor and even Chris Schmitter, who was his chief of staff, came to them as staff and scolded them for pointing out fraud.
Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar told CNN this week she believes the fraud spiraled out of control because COVID programs were rolled out without sufficient guardrails. It's also worth noting the owner of the restaurant where Omar held her 2018 victory party is among those from the Somali community who have been convicted of profiting from the schemes. Harris?
Look, I don't know. I know this would be public, but I don't know how hard they'd make us work as journalists. But I want a FOIA for those 300 plus arrests that AG Ellison says that he made. I want to know the dates that those arrests, did they coincide with being caught or this coming to light? I want to know who they picked up in the scheme when you just heard a head of small business saying, Kelly Loeffler, there are more people to go out and get. I mean, this is unbelievable. Your last quick word.
Yeah, you know, and it's interesting, earlier this week when Governor Walz was asked why is it that he was leaving this up to the feds, why isn't the state doing more?
Yeah.
He said, we're working with the feds and that we're leading to these federal cases. He didn't answer that question repeatedly, though, of why it is that the state itself hasn't done more to go after these fraud cases.
Yeah, this is not complicated stuff, right? If you follow the money trail, you kind of know how this works, okay? The government officials, the people in charge, funnel money to these nonprofits, to their little friends, right? They pretend as if they're doing good, right? They shoot a promotional video. Hey, look at us feeding the children, right? But that's the only meal they've ever made, right? That's the only time they've ever fed the hungry kids. And then they take the rest of the money. The nonprofits, they pocket it. They spend it on whatever they want. And the politicians get a kickback, right? And everybody wins. That's what they do. It's obvious.
That who was so culpable.
I'm going to leave my information here. So what else can be done?
Public attention always helps. So what you're doing is certainly going to help.
For now, Osler says taxpayers will have to be patient.
The most likely outcome is that these properties will be seized, they'll be sold, the public will get the money back.
For weeks now, we've been asking prosecutors specific follow-up questions about these 3 properties. And I can tell you in just the last 45 minutes, I got a call back from the lead prosecutor, Joe Thompson. He says they have to let the full legal process play out. In each of these cases, he added that the value of what they have seized so far is significant, somewhere between $60 and $70 million. And I can tell you when I went back to check court records today, which we've been doing a lot lately, I did find the U.S. Attorney's Office just reached a settlement to recover an additional $227,000 that was tied up in a property in Kentucky. That one was previously owned by another defendant in these Feeding Our Future cases that was sentenced earlier this summer. So the bottom line is the process is happening, maybe not as fast as some people would like.
Slowly.
Yeah, I mean, it should have happened yesterday, right? But hey, you know, regardless, again, the key is to bring attention to the issue, right? That's why I'm making this video, is to bring attention to this issue, right? To give these prosecutors a kick in the butt, a reminder that, yeah, as taxpayers, we want our money back, right? We're not going to let this slide, okay? We're not letting this slide. We want to get our money back. If you got to seize the properties, you got to seize the vehicles, do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. Because we're being told that we're jealous that they got that via hard work, right? And it's like, nah, you didn't get it via hard work, right? You worked hard scamming taxpayers, right? That's probably the hard work that you put in. But other than that, right, certainly not deserved. And, you know, I'm hoping that we have more stories about properties being seized. We're definitely going to follow this and make sure that we get our money back and hold people accountable for this giant scheme that should not have gotten to this size. But, you know, here we are, right? And Democrats can no longer claim that this is a giant conspiracy theory anymore, that waste, fraud, and abuse is rampant within our welfare system, Okay, and then it's an issue that has to be addressed. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.